did you like my idea about doing Mirage and Caustic? Because those are also the two, like,
The
I
ones
don't
that
know,
people
the
care
most
the least about.
basic. Well, they're super basic. So my reasoning, I don't think I ever got to it because I was like squirrel. But my reasoning behind it is because I actually had like somebody write in and say that like a lot of these deep dives that we're doing, you can already find on the internet. And like the only reason we are still doing the deep dives is because that was just the format we chose. So I'm like, it's been so long now, everybody knows everything. So like, do we really need to keep going on and on about Caustic or the deep dives or whatever?
Basically the like, I see what you mean. Combine these two and then do Octane.
Yeah, and then do Octane. And so then by then we can maybe even take a break because, other than if they do come out with something new, we're not going to have that after we get done with this. We're not going to have that much to talk about. So either we can stretch it out, we can milk it out a little bit further with doing just Caustic today and Mirage the next time and Octane the next time, and that'll give us 3 more weeks of content, obviously, which isn't bad. Which, I guess if you think about it that way, then that might give them enough time to finally come out with some more content.
Well, by the way, welcome to the pre-show, everybody.
They knew what it was. Don't baby them.
One of the things that I thought about we could do as like a replacement segment would be This Week in Apex. And
This Week in Apex.
And just an example is we can go to the Reddit and on the show, like showcase and link to like some of the memes that are on there that are really fucking good.
I like that.
So like we could do.
Don't say fucking. I'm gonna have to edit that out. Fucking.
Do you? One of my favorite memories of us recording is that time that I went fuck, and you're like, I had to bleep that, damn it. So we can do Caustic and Mirage now, and then next week do Octane, and then after that we can either take a break or we can swap it out for something like This Week in Apex.
I like that because that at least gives us more, even if we do have to start having less and less. And see, okay, so did you get a chance to read my document that I sent you?
To the email you sent today? No, I haven't had a chance.
Okay. Well, basically, one of the things I was talking about is that we could have demos versus samples. The samples are going to be the big 8-hour things that we're going to have in June. So that's going to be the big radio and, whatever. But then demos, the differentiator there could be that the demo could be a single show, still have the music breaks, still have some sponsors or whatever, but then it's just a single show. And so that could sort of play as an advertisement for the samples, and then the samples are the long advertisement for the radio station itself.
By the way, I don't know the context of the joke, but when T-Full sent K NRD, I was like, that sounds like a legit radio station.
Yeah, right. But that might be a way that we can have an episode, and we might not have that much to say, but we can kind of elongate it because it's all like, all right, this is what we're going to talk about, blah blah blah, go on for like 10 minutes, like, all right, when we come back, do and then we have like a 5-minute break or something, and then we come back, so at least then we could stick around the 45 to an hour long, which is what we usually do, but we don't have as much content because there's not that much to talk about. And then worst case scenario, when we do start having more to talk about, that just turns that 45 to an hour back to an hour and a half, which is totally fine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And at least then that really gives people a really good deal, a really good idea of what the radio station is going to sound like. What's it going to be like? Because there was this one guy who, it's not just the one guy. There's plenty of people, but there's this one guy in particular that tweeted me, hey, you make my drive a lot easier. And I'm like, hey, we got an announcement coming up pretty soon. So, did you see all the Discord messages about that? The consensus is in the evening on Sundays when we're going to have our big meeting about the radio. So you can kind of take the morning off. We can maybe do the hop up right before we meet with everybody else.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I asked Daniel, who was on the show the first of the year.
Mm-hmm.
He's big Apex, so I asked him if he wanted to come on Hop Up.
I don't know who Daniel is, honestly.
That was one we talked about Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, is that? What was his username? Was that Fatal Otaku? Or was that some other guy?
I don't remember who was Fatal Otaku.
That might have been Daniel. I don't know.
He was the Excitement Inc. was their show that they did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, when someone met or when Daniel met someone, or someone met Rich. Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. If he's super into it, that'll just the more we can get people on that one, just makes it a little bit easier. But anyways, evening Sunday works for you.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Okay, I believe T-Full said he got off at like 4. So if we give him like an hour to get home and get settled, then that'll be 5 his time. I want to say he's like going to be the same time zone as Link, I want to say. So he's going to be an hour ahead of you and 2 hours ahead of me. So that means 3 for me, 2 for you, 5, 6, 4.
And this is a segment of the pre-show where Nick does math.
Math is fun, people. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. My goodness gracious.
By the way, total non sequitur. I have a question for all you patrons. Let us know in the Discord. Completely separate from Apex. Are you going to get or subscribe to Disney's streaming service?
Yes.
Okay, did you see what the price is?
Yes.
$6.99. I think that's a fucking excellent deal.
That is an excellent deal, and not only that, but like it kept selling me the longer my wife talked about it. Because you're getting at first I was like, yeah, sure, whatever.
See, if I feel like paying $6.99 a month to have access to every single Disney movie ever made, including the ones in the vault, is a good enough deal. But on top of that, you're also getting the like brand new Marvel and Star Wars shows that are exclusive to the platform.
Right. There's a Hawkeye thing in the making,
and there's also Falcon and
Link,
Winter Soldier.
Or no, not Link. Loki. There's a Loki one, and it's actually going to be Tom Hiddleston. So let's like, okay, yes, please.
Yeah.
All right, we do need something for care package. So let's figure that out before we get too deep up Disney's ass. Just all up in the ass. All up in the ass.
I mean, the only thing I can think of would be the Watson stuff.
Watson?
And I sent the link to you in the chat.
The link in the chat. I will look at it. Oh, I think the reason I went away from it is because it's one of those fucking sites that has like 80 fucking ads and it makes my thing run really slow. What's the gist of it? Because I see that's the little thing that you throw down on the ground. So then
HD render Watson's electric fence. You'll be able to link 2 fence posts and create an electric fence that only Watson can climb.
Oh, so you climb it?
No, so basically I think it's like it sounds like it's like a perimeter thing. So maybe something similar to like crashes or not crashes. That one character Black Ops 4, the like barbed wire, maybe something similar to that.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know.
Because it also like, from what I heard, it also like slows people down. That's just what I heard, but it's probably says it somewhere here too. I'd like to know more about just like her other ones, because that sounds cool. If that's like the L1, that's great. But if that's the ultimate, I'm gonna have the same problem with that than I do the jump pad. Like,
okay, it's not. It's the tactical. Watson's leaked ultimate ability fits a similar theme too. It's called the Tesla trap, which looks to be some kind of electric tripwire.
Nice.
When an enemy steps on it, it
proximity
explodes.
mine.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that can be our topic of the week. I'm gonna let you, because just bringing that up like slows my computer down to a halt. So I'm gonna let you take lead on that, and then I'll just do commentary on it. Okay.
Okay.
Who is it? Watson. Watt. Get it? What? Watt.
What?
Watt, as in
What?
like gigawatt. That's funny.
Have you seen the thing about Gibraltar
Gibraltar.
and his sticky shield?
Oh yeah, the one where they have like the 6 caustic traps, and then they have fucking
The Pathfinder, yeah.
Yeah, that was freaking awesome. Oh man. So that's good. We can talk about Watson. Topic of the week could be state of the game. Caustic is the deep dive, which if you want to, you can get all the editing done and just leave a little spot for Caustic, and I'll just do Caustic tomorrow.
Okay.
And then that'll save us a little time tonight because, like, yeah, it's already 11 your time. So
yeah,
if we do that, then it'll cut out a little time for us. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Let's go ahead and get the show started. Should I be like, hey, everybody, welcome to the not complaining, totally not whining?
No, just jump right into it. Yeah, just jump right into it. Because I don't want to hear another complaint about that either.
I don't want to hear complaining about our complaining. It's like the hypocrisy is palpable.
Just palpable, like this Shiner Bock, brought to you by Texas. I had these in my fridge, like when we moved, which was in June. They're probably not good anymore, but it's alcohol, so plus it sounded good.
My back just popped. That sounded good.
Boys, I'm gonna be a clean cut man tomorrow.
How much are you actually gonna get off though? It's gonna be like
I mean, like it's good. It's definitely like the length is gonna. I'm still gonna keep a full beard, but I mean, like this length. Like here, let me show you something freaky. I'm gonna get it shaped up and then get a haircut.
So, quick question.
Okay.
Why don't you just do it yourself?
Because I have anxiety when it comes to cutting my beard, and also the barbershop it's full of women, but I mean it's like hot towel, fucking they give you like a neck massage and shit, and the woman when I went there the last time, she didn't have time to do a beard trim for me, but she was like super excited to, because she's fascinated with like the really like interesting cut beards, like the very like geometric shape, like where it's like clean cut. And she's like, oh, I've been waiting to try. And I'm like, well, good, you'll get your chance next time. Also, I went to Sports Clips the last time I got a haircut, and that's why I have this mess right now.
Yeah. Oh, it's just like extra money. I like when I cut my hair, I take out some buzz clips, bzz, 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 done.
Yeah, it's more money than I want to spend, because I went from paying like $15 for a normal haircut to now going to this place, which I'm going to try to go once a month or twice a month, which won't be that bad, but it ends up with tip being like $55.
You poor privileged little white man.
It's expensive, but I mean, hey,
hey, when you don't have kids, you can do whatever the fuck you want.
That's true. That's true.
All right, let's go ahead. I got my Audacity ready. Let's go ahead, get started.
Let me get my time codes up.
Can anybody
tell me nothing? I'm gonna take my horse to the hotel road. Okay, go.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Recording on 1, 2, 3. 1,
2. Skip it up, doo. Baby, come back.
You
can blame it all on me.
Dairy, legendary. What's up, legends? And welcome back to the Apex Legends HUBcast. I am your host, Nick, here with me today, as always.
Nate.
It's Nick and Nate, Nick and Nate. It's always great with Nick and Nate.
I'm Nate.
Hey guys, how's it going? How you doing? How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. Pretty good.
Good, good, good.
I want to take my horse to Old Town Road.
Gonna take my horse to the... All right. Real quick before we get started, you can go to at Apex Legends Cast on Twitter, or you can also go Apex Legends Hubcast at gmail.com, or you can go to our TX3 Productions on Twitter, or app, sorry, mark that. Or you can go to our ThreadX3 Productions on Twitter at TX3 Productions. And if you like what we do here and you'd like to support us, you can go to Patreon/ThreadX3 Productions. We would very much appreciate that. And also, if you want to check out our other podcasts, we do have Nerd to the Third. It's a more general podcast. And we got some really exciting news coming up very soon. We're going to be finalizing some stuff this weekend. And so we're going to have a lot of really cool ideas coming through that. And that's going to be really cool. And the last thing we have to talk about right now, we're still finalizing, but since it is official, we can now actually talk about it, and that is the Loot Crate. We have a deal with Loot Crate, and so basically we're going to start being able to do giveaways for Loot Crate. I think we mentioned it before with Link or whatever, but just in case you haven't seen that yet, we're going to announce it here. So Loot Crate. Look for more information very soon. So please go to at Apex Legends Cast on Twitter, or you can go to our Discord, which will be in the description of this podcast, or pinned to the top of our Twitter page. So either way, you can, whether you're on our Discord or whatever, you'll hear it. It's very soon. Basically, we're just getting the script together. That's all we're really doing, is getting the script finalized, which should be one of the things we work on this weekend. So that's great. So with that out of the way, we have a care package incoming.
All right, our care package for this week is, we've heard it kind of a lot within this past couple of weeks, but there's some more news coming out. There was some more news coming out about some Watson leaks, the supposed new character coming up this season, possibly. It's definitely, I think, the next character that's going to be on the roster that we're going to see soon. Yeah. So according to, this comes from .esports.com. According to a number of data mines, the next playable character for Apex Legends is named Watson. This hasn't been confirmed by Respawn Entertainment, but it looks like she's set to be released this season, sometime before the end of June. We'll see if that happens. Multiple leaks from the game's files have hinted at the Legends' possible characteristics, including her name, appearance, and ultimate. And the latest leak by Apex Legends News reveals another one of her potential abilities. Now, the leak, it was posted on Twitter by Apex Leak News, and it's an HD render of Watson's electric fence. You'll be able to link two fence posts and create an electric fence that only Watson can climb. So it basically, the render looks interesting. It looks a little funny. It definitely looks very real life in terms of, feels like this is something I would see at a hardware store. Right. But from what I can potentially gather from it, the way it sounds is similar to like the barbed wire in Black Ops 4. I don't remember the specialist offhand who has it, but that's what it sounds like. This also does sound like it's going to be, or a potential tactical ability. This doesn't seem to be her ultimate. Her ultimate, I think, reportedly is called the Tesla Trap, and that looks to be some kind of electric trip wire that when an enemy steps on it, it explodes. Yeah. So this definitely sounds like a trapper character. So definitely probably something similar to Caustic, but hopefully more useful.
Right?
Shade.
Yeah, going back to the trap, that one sounds interesting, as far as, because one of the keywords that kind of goes out is that you can climb over it. So I'm like, okay, that's cool, I guess. But why would you be climbing an electric? So that's a little weird. But from other reports, we can see that if anybody tries to pass through it, they'll basically have a slow effect, which is going to be similar to if you got too close to a Bangalore, artillery strike. You'll have that kind of slow effect. Your vision will be all effed up. And so then that'll obviously make it really easy to, take you down. This is really just a good of like area of denial kind of thing, especially if you're in a area which is either a canyon or indoors. This is going to be really good for that. I also like the fact that her name is Watson and she's electrical based. Watt. Do you get it?
Yeah, no, I get it.
Okay,
I get it. What's actually kind of cool, if you look at and we talked about this several episodes ago, but if you look at the like data mine leak a while back ago from the characters, if you look, on this article in particular, they have a more blown up picture, and it looks like you can see the Tesla trap that's strapped to her back. Like it actually looks kind of cool. And another thing to point out, she's probably the most one that looks like a Gorillaz character.
Gorillaz? What's
the band Gorillaz.
Boom, bum, bum. Ooh, 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 ooh. Are you
something
happy?
Like that? Yeah.
Are you feeling glad?
I got sunshine in a bag.
Yeah, I like this. This is definitely gonna hopefully switch up the meta and just be like, a cool addition. If they keep this kind of slow drip up, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It's just how it once again we'll go into the range of just like leaks can be both a blessing and a curse, because it's a blessing for the people who are starving for some more information, and then we get that information, we're so excited, but then it's a curse because it's not coming from Respawn. And so with Respawn still kind of sticking to their, no talking mantra that they apparently have, it's just like, hey, we just want to hear what's coming, we just want to know what's going on, and even if it's like this coy, jeez, Mark, even if this is just this coy comment where they're, hinting at the fact that, oh, well, we can't just, God damn it, Mark. Even if this little comment, maybe a little coy about, like, oh, well, maybe not. And, just to give us a hint that, yeah, this is true and you caught us or something like that.
Now, something that I want to ask you, from what it sounds like of Watson, definitely sounds like she's going to be a trapper character, very similar to Caustic, like I said prior. Although it sounds jokingly, but also seriously, it sounds like her abilities might be more useful in terms of in-game. Are you worried that she's going, I'm going to phrase that differently because you could probably put together what I was about to say. Do you feel like her abilities are going to be abused? Like, do you feel like having her on someone's squad is going to basically support, or what's the word I'm looking for? It's like when it's not sponsor. I don't know. It's similar to enthuse, insight. Do you think that her abilities are going to be used for more camping purposes? Do you think that you're going to have a lot of squads if they have her on hand, that they're going to be just set up in one spot? Obviously not for very long because you have the ring movement, but right. I feel like that could be a potential downside to her character, is maybe people would be more incentivized. That's what I was looking for. Incentivized to camp for longer periods, which in a sense, Battle Royale, depending on how you play, I play very strategically. I try to last as long as possible. I don't always go for a lot of kills.
Right.
So there is a good bit of camping in Battle Royales in general, but in Apex, I feel like I don't camp all the time. I feel like I'm constantly moving to find better gear.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're always going to have, and that's the beauty of the class system and the character system. I feel like you're always going to have your characters that are just clearly made to slay. So you got your Wraiths, you got your Bangalores, Mirage, you got these people, they're clearly meant to slay. And then you have your other support characters, people who are, hey, I'm just here to help out or whatever. So you got like Pathfinder
Lifeline.
is good because obviously, gets you from point A to point B. Yeah, Lifeline, obviously Lifeline. And then, Gibraltar. And those characters are meant to support. They're meant to help out. They're meant to be for the players that maybe don't get the highest kill streaks. And then you have Caustic, and he's obviously throwing down traps, and he's doing area of denials, is the term I used before. And then here you have this character, which is very similar in the sense that you have an area of denial. I think maybe the biggest problem we're going to have is with the... Okay.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to kick that cat's ass. I don't know what the fuck to do because I can't. Right, buddy, come on. Come here. Oh. You want to sit and be a good boy? How loud is that?
I can't even hear it.
Okay, great. I know it's probably being picked up on the mic.
What was I saying? Caustic, area of denial. I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, so the only problem I feel like might arise is if you have a Caustic and a Watson. So I could see that being a problem, but then all that really does is trap them in a building, and so worst case scenario, you just wait them out, or there's several kind of yin and yang, so to speak, that you can try to like counter them. You got your you I don't know, fucking Mark, get to that point where it's like I'm burnt out enough where I can't even really like think of what I'm saying. So let's just move on. So that's the only problem I see, is that, having those two together or whatever. But I feel like if you have those two together, then maybe you don't have a support or you don't have a slayer. And so then that's kind of the whole point of having the team dynamic. Hopefully this obviously could be a huge problem with randos, but hopefully if you're just with a trusted group, you're not going to have two trappers, because that just doesn't make any sense. But it is something that could happen. And yeah, I mean, I could see what you mean, but then in that sense, I mean, really, if they're sticking themselves in a building, then what you got to hope is that you got some good RNG and you just have like a crap ton of like grenades. You just start.
Yeah, you can hope.
Yeah.
The only other thing that really has been going on is, Nick, I don't know if you saw this, but people are starting to discover that you can stick things to Gibraltar's shield. So the funniest one, which I think you actually did see because I think we talked about it.
Yep.
The funniest one I saw was someone stuck a bunch of the caustic traps onto his shield, and a Pathfinder, like basically it was one of those woo,
yeah,
carousel things. But another one that I saw was somebody throwing Octane's jump pad on Gibraltar's shield.
Yeah.
So it seemed very much like a Captain America Avengers type situation.
Oh yeah, where he jumped off his yeah.
So that's pretty. I love when people find stuff like this, because it's just so interesting to see the amount of free time people have.
Yeah, right.
Just the creativity. And that's what I think that Respawn would love about this game, is people are just finding new ways that maybe they didn't even think about.
Yeah, it might be something they didn't even really test for. And so I hope it is something that they keep in. Because, like, for instance, something that they kept in Fortnite that was an unintended bug was when you could ride the rocket. Giggity. um, but people just kind of saw that, and instead of taking it out because it was an unintentional quote unquote bug, instead of taking it out, now it's a feature. Now you can ride the rocket, and you can, there's so many really cool like kills from that. And so I hope this is something that they keep in, or at the very least, maybe they'll make it so that instead of having 6 caustic traps on you, maybe you can only have like 2 or something, or maybe you can just have the one and they don't stick onto each other. Maybe there's some way they can code that. But if not, and they just keep it the same, I mean, strategically, I could see like putting a caustic trap on your shield and then going into a room or whatever, but then that Gibraltar's pretty, vulnerable, because he has like this giant X on his back essentially. But not only that, but then if the gas trap goes off, for instance, then your vision is messed up as well. And I don't know, like it wasn't in first person, so I don't know what it looks like from Gibraltar's, but I'm wondering, does the caustic trap impede his vision? You know what I mean? Because like obviously before you're just looking right straight through it and you can see your crosshairs and everything. So I'm wondering, does it impede your vision in any way? And I mean, like the jump pad is definitely, I think, maybe even cooler than the caustic trap. Because they found an interesting way to like spin Pathfinder around, but like the jump pad, like that could actually be useful in the sense that like now you have
you can aim it.
Yeah, and aim it exactly. Yeah. So yeah, really interesting. Definitely really interesting.
I think that. Oh, let me mark because I was going to say something. What was I going to say?
You were going to say something, which is why you started talking.
Oh, I remember what it was.
Okay, go ahead.
With the caustic traps on the shield, it reminds me of a old Call of Duty tactic, I think like in Modern Warfare 2, where people would throw Simtex on their buddy who had a riot shield and have him run like straight down to where enemies were. And I think I used to do it in Battlefield as well. You throw C4 on to the Humvee or whatever you were driving, and then just drive up and explode. Yeah. So it's stuff like that. It's another ways for us to get more enjoyment out of the game that we love.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's all we have for the care package. And, I'm excited to see what Watson has to bring. I'm excited to see like maybe some more fun things that people can, find in the game. But let's move on to our topic of the week. All right. So the topic of the week is, it was kind of brought on by like a couple of different people who have been putting out videos. Obviously, Drifter was one of them. And they're talking about the state of the game. And I guess, Mark, do you want to kind of take it from there? Or I'm not sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So, like Nick was saying, this is, we're a month into the life cycle of the game. So a lot of people are kind of having this conversation or having these thoughts of, okay, what's next? That's kind of one of the biggest problems in gaming is we can't really live in the moment. We can live in the moment for like a minute, and then we're like, all right, what's next? So that's definitely the case here. One of the reoccurring themes that I see being brought up throughout all of these conversations is a lot of people are, challenges is a big one. Everybody's hoping for, hey, let's get some kind of challenges in something, of course, similar to Fortnite. Because it's one of those things that gives you stuff to do. It gives you stuff to look forward to, stuff to like, that's a goal. Like, oh, I can jump in, do these challenges, jump out kind of thing. Another one is that a lot of people are now are kind of saying stuff like, the game's great. The biggest thing about it is, of course, the gameplay, but there's nothing really incentivizing them. Now, that's something that I can kind of agree with. And one of the things I'll bring up as a reference point is I remember one of the reasons why I loved playing Halo, or one of the reasons why I loved playing Call of Duty back in the day, was I was playing constantly so I could rank up to get that next gun, to get that next whatever, to get that this. Like every time I ranked up. Now, granted, in Apex, every time you rank up, you do get an Apex pack, but you would always have that something on your screen saying, "Hey, this unlocks at level 35." So you always had that goal. I got to get to 35 to get that gun, to get that helmet, to get whatever. And so that's been a reoccurring theme of stuff like that. And that's something that I can kind of agree with. I don't feel like Apex, I think the biggest hook that Apex has, and the reason why I keep playing it, is because I want to get better at the game. I want my skills to get better. And that's why I'm playing so much. But I don't feel like, and this isn't, this is just, of course, my opinion, but I don't feel like there's any carrot at the end of the stick, so to speak, in terms of there's nothing that it's incentivizing me to get to rank up higher. I just want to play the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for once I get to be the contrarian. It's going to be a weird feeling. Everybody strap in. Because yes, Mr. I hate the battle pass. Mr. I hate the skin and how they charge too much. Yeah, that Mr. I'm saying, what is the big effing deal? I mean, like Mr. Drifter and Mr. Dr. Disrespect and Ninja, they're all complaining about not having anything to do in the game where it's endless. There's tons of stuff to do, and as far as your carrot on the end of the stick, it's unlocking everything. It's having those Apex packs and hoping you get another legendary, or getting another legendary skin, or that elusive heirloom. So having somebody like Drifter, having somebody like Ninja, it's like they have a big audience. I can respect that. But then when they start complaining about, oh, there's nothing to do in the game, it's like there's plenty to unlock in the game. And in fact, our last episode, we talked about one of the biggest reasons we keep coming back is how much stuff there's to unlock. We have so much to unlock. We have skins, we have quips, which, I mean, quips in certain stuff like that, that's obviously the lower tier, like, oh my God, he says something different. You know what I mean? So, but it's still, there's so much to unlock. There's so much to do. So saying that there's not a carrot at the end of the stick, it's like, I don't get that, because there's so many carrots at the end of the stick. If anything, there's almost too much carrots at the end of the stick, because it's just like, I don't know what I want. Now, obviously, if you're a person who has a main and maybe you have the skin that you love for that main, and then you have weapons that you love and you have a couple of skins for those weapons that you love, well, I mean, that's great. Good for you. I mean, but at the same time, there's just so much. I mean, especially for like completionists or whatever, there's so much to unlock here that you can keep going for a really long time. Then we do have the battle pass, so people complaining about the state of the game and there not being a carrot at the end of the state. And even when you get to level 20, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, if you get to level 20, I think then it starts drip feeding the Apex packs every other level, or maybe it was 15. I can't remember. It's been so long. No, just kidding. And then after 40 or 50, I want to say it drips feed at every third level, and then it's every fifth level. So by the time you're in the close to the triple digits, it's like you're not getting an Apex pack until 5 or 6 levels. I can't remember. I do apologize for not knowing that. But you're not getting an Apex pack for a really long time, which is obviously Respawn's way of incentivizing us to buy stuff. But then we have the battle pass. The battle pass, at every level you unlock something. Now me and Nate are very vocal about this, about the fact that, is that something 100% worth it all the time? No, but you are getting something. And that to me is the carrot at the end of the stick that you're talking about. It's that thing that you are driving towards, because obviously what are you driving towards? That gold tier skin on the Havoc. You're going towards that. And once again, will we ever make it there? Maybe not. We're definitely running out of days, but that doesn't stop the fact that there is a carrot at the end of the stick. So having Drifter and Ninja and Dr. Disrespect, which all the respect to those people, but having them complain about there's not a carrot at the end of the stick, or, there's just nothing to do. It's like, well, yeah, because you guys probably got through all that in the first couple of days. So complaining about not having anything to do because you decide to play it and get through everything, like that's not the game's fault. That's your own fault. And that's why, like, I don't mind playing it at the pace I do, because I might be a lower level than 50% of the people that I come into contact with, but I'm still enjoying the game. Like, it's such a weird thing to say, but at least I'm still enjoying the game. At least I'm still enjoying the drip feed. I will admit though, a couple of good points were brought up, that the challenges, obviously, like, I can totally agree to that. I can totally agree to having challenges, and maybe each challenge gives you anywhere from like 10 to 20 scrap, and then you use that scrap to buy the things that you want. I can totally agree with that. Or there needs to be more to do with the red currency, because other than characters, what do you have to spend that on? You don't have a lot to spend it on. So that would be something that I could agree with, as far as that, like, we were just talking about a new character. We don't know when it's coming, obviously, but it's coming. And yeah, I feel like the content creators that play this an ungodly amount every single day for 6 days a week, complaining about not having that much to do, it's another world. It's a 1%, and that's what me and Link said last episode. It's a 1% kind of thing. Not everybody is going to have this problem, but hey, if you guys do, and I'm just kind of talking out of my butt, then but that's just my personal opinion. I feel like it's kind of maybe being blown out of the water, or they're fixating on it too much. Hey, what gets clicks? Negativity. And we can attest to that. Am I right? We got tons of clicks for that.
now, of course, I'm gonna go a little on the defensive. I can't speak to everybody else, but as far as the stuff I've seen with Drifter, he wasn't speaking at it in a sense of negativity. He was still saying he loves the game, but that's his only gripe, will only complain. Now, I, again, can't speak to them, but if I was to give a read as why they're complaining about it, is I know that there are certain type of people, because I'm one of them, that are more likely, if I had the choice between an option that was wide range of, I can do, like, as far as collecting wise, like I have so much other stuff, like I have an entire open world of stuff to do, or like I have this path, I can see the path that I'm on, I can see what I'm going to get. I would rather take that path. So that might be a basis of some of the complaints, which again, I could totally agree with. But I mean, of course, that's the perfect thing about the show, is we have almost always have differing opinion on the matter. That those were kind of the biggest ones that I've seen kind of being the common thread between the different videos and different discussions and things like that. What I am curious about, and what I want to talk with you about, is from here. Granted, we're only a month in, but what do you think is next, or what do you think is going to be the future of Apex?
The future of Apex.
Future.
Well, I think that, like I was hinting at when we were talking about Watson, I feel like if they keep up the drip feed of characters to a reasonable degree, then I feel like it's always going to be changing up the meta. It's always going to change up, like, the team composition, and that's never going to be a bad thing. Never. And then I feel like another thing, and they might be working on it, or this might, but like solos and duos was something, I can't remember who was talking about it, but I remember seeing somewhere that solos and duos was actually being worked on for the next big update. Then the next big update came and went, and there was no solo and duos. But I mean, it could be something that they'd be working on, and I mean, just I feel like, just getting more stuff. And I mean, it's hard to compare it to Fortnite, because it's just a completely different game. But doing something similar to that, where they have limited time modes, or they change certain things about the map or whatever. I personally would love to see a more PUBG approach, where instead of changing the map on a regular basis, I would much rather get a new map.
I agree with that. I agree
And
with
I
that.
mean, but that causes problems because I can remember when PUBG came out and new maps would come out and people would just start crapping on the new maps and be like, oh, this is nothing like the other one. Wait, you mean it's nothing like the other map you had? Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah,
Anyways, I won't go there.
I 100% agree with that, because even if the map's not great at first, because everyone doesn't like change. That's what will keep the game. That's what will keep the game fresh. And you have
Right.
different approaches to it. And like I've talked with you off air, we actually talked about it the other day. But like that's something like I think that Apex would be smart to stay in the direction of PUBG, whereas Blackout would be smart to stay in the direction of Fortnite, in terms of
Yeah.
there's a lot of this is not Apex related, but there's a lot of hypothesis about what's going to happen this year, and a lot of people would be okay is if the Blackout map, not if the map was the same, if Blackout was the same, they just added Modern Warfare skin to it, with maybe adding like locations from that to change the map up, kind of similar to the way Fortnite does. So I agree with that 100%. I would love to see different maps, and what I would love to see even more is maps that are more akin to stuff we've seen in Titanfall. Like what would be a mixture of both worlds, a perfect mixture of both worlds, is what if they had a limited time mode similar to Blackout's new one, Alcatraz, where it's a lower player count, and it's a more like the map that comes to mind is the map in Titanfall.
Okay. Hold on, just a second. Market. Did you listen to our last episode?
No, not yet.
Okay. Me and Link talk about Alcatraz and how we'd like or I think it was more me who said it, but I'd like a mode like that where because I think you can respawn like up to 5 times before you finally die. So the reason I'm bringing it up is I don't want it to sound like you're I know this sounds horrible, uninformed, because obviously you weren't there or whatever, but I want you to sound like you still listen to the show, I guess.
Okay,
that makes sense. So just basically phrase it as like you were saying on the last show.
Okay. Like you were saying on the last show, and a mode similar to Alcatraz, but what I'm thinking is map wise. You remember the map in Titanfall 2 where it was on the plan? Like, did you play the campaign for Titanfall
2? Yeah, just not all the way through.
Okay, the level where you get the time jumping thing on that planet.
That one, yeah.
So it's basically the map. It's basically what I'm saying is a more indoors type place.
Yes,
like it's more CQC. I would like to see a limited time mode similar to maybe Alcatraz, where it's lower player count, it's more CQC environment, because I feel like that would add a lot of frenetic nature to the already great gameplay.
Right.
That's an Apex. That's something that I would like to see. I think that would be a great combination of both of those ideologies.
Right. And I think just in general, finding new ways to mix up the formula is not going to be a bad thing, because the one thing that Fortnite had on its side is that it was constantly adding stuff, constantly. Like it was actually almost like frustrating how often they were adding stuff. I want to say it was like maybe every 2 weeks. And so that's why it is hard to compare it to them, but also it's kind of imperative to compare it to that, because they are the biggest competitor. Obviously you have PUBG, Blackout, H1Z1, Paladins, or whatever. You have all those, but its biggest competitor is Fortnite. And so it behooves them to do more stuff, experiment, because that's what the limited time modes are. Now if they made these changes to the base game, then you'd have people rioting, you'd have pitchforks, you'd have people like death threats and all that kind of BS that you get on the internet. But if it's in the limited time mode, and you have a mode where it's like, what did they have? They had like snipers only, or they had CQC only, and things like that. And I feel like that could just be interesting ways of mixing it up. Another way is like Blackout, you can have like private servers. So private servers would be really cool, especially for like anybody who wants to put on their own private tournament. So it would be really cool.
Now, there was one other thing that I saw a lot of people talking about, and I want to get your opinion.
There's more.
But wait, there's more. Post show guys, you know what I'm talking about. Because you got me distracted. There was one other theme that I saw being talked about a lot, and I want to get your opinion on it.
I have
And
this.
it's not about Apex per se, but it's about Respawn. And it was a lot of people, I don't want to say giving excuse, but kind of giving a potential reason. They were talking about how they're saying, like, hey guys, something to keep in mind. Like, I know we're all talking about how, Respawn hasn't been very forthcoming with information or like not, pushing a lot of updates, but also keep in mind that they are basically working on 3 different projects right now. They're working on one that we don't know about. They're working on Jedi Fallen Order and things like that. They were giving a reason for why they haven't been as vocal or active as like, Fortnite or even probably PlayerUnknown. I don't really remember that life cycle, but what's your opinion on that? Do you think that that's valid?
I mean, you know me, I'm cynical, maybe even sometimes a little too nitpicky. To me, that sounds like a woe is me. I mean, woe is me. We have so many projects to work on. There was
another part to it where they were saying, and I know Drifter said this, that
fucking Drifter,
that they're like, I don't think Respawn realized this game was going to be as successful as it became.
Well, yeah, because neither did EA. They're like, sure, you put out your little pet project. You go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what?
Now
how many?
Yeah, that's the one in particular. I'm like, okay, I can see that. I can see
that. Yeah,
I can see that.
But still, at the same time, Respawn has the EA behind them.
Yeah. Did you freeze, or are you just being a jackass right now?
No, you didn't do it.
What? Behind them? What?
EA
don't do this to me, because my wife's been doing this to me all fucking day. All right, don't do this to me.
What?
She'll like stop expecting me to say something or like to answer. Like,
all right,
it's a sore subject.
Anyways, so EA's behind them. Giggity.
Okay.
Jeez.
Thank you.
My goodness. It's like pulling hairs with you. Anyways, now I forgot what I was going to say. So good job, Nate. Good job. Man of the people, everybody.
Man of the people.
Market. Do you remember, like, did I even,
you said like,
with EA behind them and with the resources they have or whatever, like, I don't see that as a problem, because hopefully, I don't know how Respawn runs anything, obviously, but hopefully they have different teams. And so you have a team on the Star Wars, obviously. You have a team on this. You have a team on that. And so
they do. But also keep in mind, this is EA we're talking about here. They're not Ubisoft. They don't have their stuff together. I mean,
that's
come on. So, but if out of those statements that I just made, the one that would make the most sense as to maybe a slight explanation to our situation would be that they didn't expect it to be this successful.
Yeah.
Because they never expected. They had high hopes for Titanfall 2.
Right.
They were like, oh, maybe this will be a repeat thing.
Yeah, maybe that. Well, then in that case, they just need to be more reactionary, because it's like within a week there was 25 million people. Kick your shit into high gear, guys. like. Because those 25 million people now are getting talked to by the same person that you paid money to play the game. They're getting talked to people and saying how, I'm bored. What do you guys want to do now? So instead, start putting out some content. And I feel like here's big-headed Nick talking like he's an asshole. But how hard is it to make a limited time mode? Mess with the rules a little bit. Now the ring goes twice as fast. Now when you get down to round 3, it just constantly moves. Sometimes it goes to the left, sometimes it goes up, but it stays the same size, but it constantly moves or something. There's so many different things that just, once again, I'm not a coder. I know this, but it's like, how hard would it be to just be like, okay, now it's only shotguns. Now it's only sniper. Like, just little things to quench our thirst until the next thing.
Imagine if you had a circle going in a circle. I can picture like all of the legends running around the map, like to Benny Hill music, just trying to catch up.
Yeah. But I mean,
But one thing,
it's just different. It's little things that could keep it going, and hopefully keep these, these people who are complaining at bay. I'm not one of those people, so don't get mad at Nate, get mad at him. But it's
and
like it is a situation where you need to get to a point where you can make maybe not everyone happy, but get enough of us happy.
And one thing I will say in support of Respawn, in praise of Respawn, is at least they are not being like Treyarch's zombie team.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if you big zombie player or big like online zombie player, you know what I'm talking about. How they've been radio silent since the game came out, almost always being very cryptic in terms of, oh yeah, Jeff Fafa from PS Friends complains about that a lot, and it's always entertaining to listen to. So at least they're not doing that.
Yeah. All right. So that is the state of the game. Got two very varying sets of opinions. So let us know, where do you guys stand? What side do you choose? Are you the Nick or are you the Nate? Let us know at TX3 Productions or Apex Legends Cast on Twitter. Next up, we got our deep dive. All right, so then cut. I'll do the Caustic tomorrow. What are we at so far? Fuck me royally.
41 minutes.
We are okay. Well, this is good because none of this is going to really take us that long to talk about.
Oh my God, dude. The part of the show that I did listen to was when Link was reading the fucking Octane, and I was laughing so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Did you check? Like, I was because I was worried that curse wasn't going to get edited right because he mixed those words so together. But I was like, oh, I was fucking happy with that.
Yeah, right.
So do you? I mean, of course, I don't want you to be a wreck tomorrow. What do you want to do? Do you want to just
words, dude? It's okay.
Do you want to just do the coaching champions?
Well, yeah, that's all we have left.
Oh, I read that as reader mail. I was like, oh, that's reader mail.
Oh no, this down here, yeah, that's still Suck at Trebek. That's another tip and trick. So,
okay,
all right. So coaching. All right, so that's all you need to know to be a good Caustic player. So now let's go right into our coaching champions. All right, in coaching champions, this is where we give our tips and tricks. Admittedly, it's been a bit dry. We've had other things to talk about, and not so many tips and tricks. So we're going to try to fix that today. I came across a really good video. I really want to make sure that this guy gets credit for it. So please make sure to click on the link. We'll have it in the description. Why is this guy yelling at me? Jesus Christ.
He wants to get the point across to you.
Oh my God. That's the second time I've done that. And he starts yelling at me. He's like, Honey is an app where you can, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Why did I make you so mad? Okay, Mark. So make sure go click on the link down below. It's from a guy, Dry Bear Gamers. And basically he came up with a drill to help you with your aiming. I'm going to break it down into a couple of simple terms. And then I'm also going to show you, or I'm going to tell you some of my drills that I added to his. So for the most part, it looks like he's playing on a PC. So try not to let that affect you, because when he was doing his things and he was able to just whip to certain things, I'm like, well, I'm never going to be able to do that. But he's PC, so I think that has something to do with it. But there's some drills that you can run in the training. So basically going into the training, you can run some drills there to start improving your aim. One is you go up to one of the places where you have you go up to a place where there are 3 targets on one side and 3 targets on another side. These are the human-shaped ones, so you can practice getting the headshots. And so the drill you want to do is, for 1 minute, you want to go to the left one, headshot. left 2 headshot, left 3 headshot. And then you want to switch that. And you want to just keep doing that. And at first, what you want to focus on is your accuracy. Get to the headshot, get a perfect headshot, then go back to the center, then back to number 2, get that perfect headshot. You might go really slow at first, and I can attest to this because I tried it out myself. You might go really slow at first, but even by the end of like 1 minute, if you just keep doing it, you're going to notice even just a little bit of speed. So if you start doing this on a regular basis, you might not be able to whip it like he does, and you might not even be able to nay like he does, but you're going to get a lot better, and it's going to get you that reflex, because he talks a lot at the beginning about the science of it or whatever. So take a listen to it. It's really interesting, but this was a really cool thing. And I actually really like it. I suggest doing it with the wingman because it has 6 bullets. So you go 3 to the left, 3 to the right, and then reload, 3 to the left, 3 to the right. You do that for a minute, and it's a really good drill. And then there was a couple other ones that he's gone through, and then there was a couple that that I added myself to practice basically moving. Excuse me. To practice on a moving target, basically, he said, get to a upward angle, look at one of the moving targets, and try to follow it perfectly. You want your cursor to be in the center of the moving thing, of the moving target, and you want to stay on center, and you want to try to be as perfect as possible. Once again, this is going to be an instance where you might not be able to do it on your first try, but the point is that you keep at it. And once again, I can attest to this because I tried it. I was really bad at the beginning. I kept going too far left or too far right before it would, but towards the end, I already started to notice a difference. Another thing that I added myself is I got on one of the zip lines and I started going over some of the moving targets. And so that was basically a way to help me practice not only me moving, but shooting at a moving target. So both you and the target were moving and trying to do that. And so my goal was to basically hit it more than I missed it, or at least get that counter because it stacks. I tried to get it up to 100. And so run that for a minute. You go to one side of the zip line, then go to the other. And the whole time you're shooting at that same moving target. Then another one is target acquisition. And so basically what you want to do is you want to stand in a part where you can pretty much see all the targets. You want to be close enough where, some of them, but basically choose a target in your mind, choose a target, and then try to get to it as quickly as possible and shoot at it. But once again, you want to try to be as perfect as possible. So you might have to take it slow at first. You might have to get to it as fast as you can and then adjust, and then fire. And then once again, you do this for a minute at a time, and then afterwards you're going to start noticing it. And this might take 1 or 2 times. This is basically a drill you should run every time before you go into your very first match of the day. And if you start doing that, you're going to start noticing a difference. And once again, it's about reflex. It's getting your body used to moving targets. It's getting your body used to flicking to the left, flicking to the right. You're going to notice, like the guy says, you're going to notice you might have a strong side. You might be better at the left side than you are the right side. But the point is to just run these drills on a regular basis. I would suggest doing it every time before you start up, but if you're not that patient, maybe every other time. But the point is, do it on a regular enough basis where it starts becoming more of a reflex. So then when somebody comes up on you and you have a wingman, you can snap right to their head and you don't even know how you did it.
Moral of the story: whip it into shape. It's not too late to whip it.
Whip it good.
Whip it good. And that's where the dad jokes come in.
Yep. All right. So then we had a pretty good one from Suck It Trebek.
To the point, can't not read that name and not laugh. I mean, you just can't.
To the point about tips and tricks to give your team an edge, I'd suggest the concept of bounding Overwatch. You take turns between bounding in parentheses, running to the next point and using short distances, and Overwatch, standing behind someone, form of cover, and keep watch ready to lay suppressive fire should an enemy pop up. This is really good. I feel like another terminology for this, if this doesn't sound familiar, another terminology would be the zipper. I don't know if that's like the technical term, but that's what I've heard it called before, where like one goes up and the other one is, watching that person go up. Because obviously when you're sprinting, it takes longer for you to pull up your weapon. So as somebody's moving forward, you need to be watching that person who's moving in case somebody comes. So he worded it in his own way, and I just tried to add my own okay. So by doing this, your situational awareness.
I'm gonna mark because I'll add something to that while you're reading that.
Hold on. I think that's pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
What's funny is the last game that I played, which ended in a win. We actually did that. We're like without having that information. Like that was just something that I was playing with randos, and several times throughout the match, we would have one guy who had a G7. He was basically designating himself as sniper. So we would go to, so like at one part we were in coming out of a canyon, coming out of the cave entrance from a canyon, and he immediately went up. I went to the left side, and then the other guy was following him up there to basically do what Sucker Trebek was bringing up, which is kind of one of those simpatico things. Really interesting that's something we just casually did, but it's basic tacticism, and it's one of those that if some people don't understand that, it's definitely a tool to take with you to help further advantage. And it's like when me and you play the Division, we do the exact same thing. Basic tactics. Go left, you go right, or I go up, you go down. I mean, it's one of those, if you have a coherent team
and you're cold, you're yes and you're no.
I created a monster. Jesus. If you have a solid team, if you have good communication with them, that's easily going to be the best way to play the game, instead of just all three of you rushing into just an objective and into just one spot.
Yeah. I mean, just adding a little bit of tacticism into your everyday life is just going to be so much greater than usual. I mean, even if, let's say you have two of you guys and you have a random third, if you start doing that, if he's paying attention, hopefully he or she is paying attention. If he's paying attention, he's going to go, and then hopefully he'll pick up on it and do it. But if not, you still have one person on Overwatch and helping out the team, so that third person might not quite understand what's going on, but you're still using tacticism. That third person goes down, you guys at least have your crap together and you can get it going. So yeah, really good. So bounding is what he calls it. So one person goes up, one person's overwatching, then that person's overwatching and the other person goes up. And so this could work for threes as well. Another really cool thing is I saw this is about a week old by now, but it's actually something I've never even knew about. So the ammo types have different special abilities. Did you even know this?
No, I didn't. One of them in particular, now that I'm reading it, makes 100% sense because it's something that I've noticed but never really paid attention to of it being a thing.
Yeah. So first off, energy ammo has less of a drop rate. And so like this is something that like now that I hear it out loud, I'm like, that makes perfect sense. It's a laser. It's a laser beam attached to my freaking head. But laser, it makes so much sense. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even think about that. So if you have like the triple take, you can aim halfway across the map and there's almost no drop rate to it. So you might not have as much damage, but it's not going to drop. Versus if you have like the G7 or even the fuck me up the ass. What's it called? What's the heavy longbow? Thank you. If you have the G7 or you have the longbow, those are going to have drop to the bullets, and so you're going to have to aim above the target in order to just hit them. So that was something that like now that I hear it out loud is like that seems so obvious. But honestly, the different ammo types, I didn't even think that each one of them was going to have some kind of ability, because this is not something they talk about. So another one is the light ammo. Light ammo shreds through the shields faster. I was like,
that's the one that makes sense to me.
yeah, right. And I think now that I think of it, it's like, yeah, okay. I do feel like with, and see, maybe it's just because I do kind of favor like the Spitfire, for instance, and I favor maybe some shotguns sometimes. Now that I think about it, every once in a while when I do have the R301 or the R99, now that I think about it, like I always felt like I'm shredding, just absolutely shredding shields. And I'm like, now it makes sense. And I'm like, this is another thing where it's like, it makes sense now that I'm hearing it, but it's just like, I really do wish that there would have been, I wish this would have been something we were able to talk about before. Now, the last one is actually one that I heard, I want to say 1 or 2 weeks ago, but was never able to like confirm it myself. And that is that heavy ammo has a slow effect. And so basically what this means is that if you're shooting at somebody with heavy ammo, they're not going to be able to sprint. They're going to be kind of stuck in place. I think it's only for like maybe a second, but they're stuck in place and they can't sprint. And so obviously that means that they can't get around to cover as quickly. And so by using this logic, you can kind of adjust your loadout accordingly. So for instance, if you take a couple of pop shots and you happen to notice that this person has a shield, if you're not already on your light ammo gun, switch to your light ammo gun. Switch to that gun and now shred through that shield. Once you're done with the shield and you hear that little indicator, okay, he's done, switch to a wingman, switch to a Spitfire, switch to a Prowler. And now this person, they might be out in the open, their shield is gone. Start shooting them with that heavy ammo, whatever, gun you choose, start shooting them with that heavy ammo so that it is less likely they'll get to cover and be able to heal themselves. I'm like, man, I'm so glad I saw this. This is definitely something, man. Okay.
Yeah, which is very interesting. The heavy also makes sense because I think of heavy ammunition, I think of a 50 caliber round, I think of a 45 round, think something like that. And that would make sense because a heavy round like that has a lot of stopping power. So it makes 100% sense if that gives you a slow effect. So it's things like that, like kind of going back to the Gibraltar sticky shield. It's stuff that like they really put a lot of care and effort into, and we're like just noticing it basically. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it makes me wonder because I mean, there's always been ammo types in pretty much any battle royale, and so yeah, it's just not something. It's like, oh, this. But now that I think about it, it makes more sense now because in most other games, like you have different ammo types, but it's usually different ammo types for different weapon classes. So you have your pistols, and those all had like 9mm. You have your assault rifles, and sometimes they'd have 7.77 or 5 through whatever the heck it is, and so but it made sense. And then you'd have like your 50 cals or something like that, and so I guess it just kind of made sense. It's like, okay, whatever. And then on this one, instead of like all the pistols having 9mm, you have one pistol that has the heavy ammo, which made sense because it was a revolver, but still, it's like, I guess
it's a hand cannon, basically.
The more apt comparison would be the assault rifles. The assault rifles having like light ammo versus, well, no, because they have that in other battle royales. I guess it's just something that I just never really thought of. And it was like, well, why does this one have this and this one have this? But now it's like, it just makes so much sense now. So this is definitely something you guys can use. And I mean, this also kind of makes you appreciate the triple take a little bit more, because now I know that if I'm aiming at somebody way down range, I know that I'm probably actually going to hit them, which I always thought that the reason I was hitting people at a long distance with the triple take was because that there were 3 bullets, so I didn't have to be as accurate. But now I think the reason is because it's energy ammo, so it has less of a drop rate and I have more chance of hitting them.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that.
Mark that for a curse word.
I did.
But anyways, yeah, this alone really makes me rethink my loadouts. I almost always want to have a light and a heavy at least, and then if I do have energy, like I'm gonna look at it in a so much different way. And I hope that if you guys didn't know that, I hope that now you can kind of start thinking about that too, which is all we ask for. All we ask for. So Mark, again, that's pretty much it, right? I mean,
yeah, that's pretty much the show. Apart from the deep dive, obviously.
No doubt. All right, so after giving you all the tips and tricks, all the tips, just the tips,
Giggity.
now I think that's going to be pretty much the show for us today. So I hope you guys have had a great time with this. Thank you, Nate, for joining me.
Oh, you're welcome, sir.
And we'll see you down in Kings Canyon, where it's going to be legend. Wait for it. Awesome.
This is episode 7, right?
No, the last one is episode 7.
Was it really?
No, it wasn't. I like fucking with you.
No, it was episode 7.
I know that, you fucker.
Bear. Boop, 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 boop.
All right, so our Patreon motherfuckers. So T-Foles actually came back to me with another kind of good name for one of the radios. So I gave you guys a little preview of some of the names we had in mind, and T-Foles comes out of nowhere and gives me a really good one. So playing around with the 4-letter thing that you hear a lot of radio stations had, he's all like, well, what if we had it as KNRD? And then he jokes, the K is silent. I'm like, that's funny. And then I was like, and I'm like, well, wait, what about WNRD? And then that could also stand for Worldwide Nerd Radio Direct. And so that's another possibility. We're still going to be talking about it this weekend. We're going to be finalizing a lot of stuff. Basically, what this weekend is going to be is we're going to finalize all the ideas so that we can start really talking about it, because it's been hard to talk about the radio project because there hasn't been enough that's been finalized. We might not finalize everything about it, but there's definitely going to be some really good information so that now we can finally start kind of advertising it in a way. So I'm really excited about that. Get that out of the way finally, because it's been on my mind. It's one of those things that's I find it hard to think about other things, because it's that's what's been on my. What are you doing to me?
I sent it to you.
What in the fucking hell?
Instead of texting it to you, just send it to you so I can have it on my desktop.
Moose merch.
By the way, is there any update on the merch sponsorship?
Shit. This goes right back to what I was just saying. I keep forgetting to fucking contact those guys. We were supposed to have a meeting or whatever. It's totally my fault. I just haven't gotten back to them. So that's my fault. I'll try to get back to them hopefully tomorrow. Oh, fuck me. I'm so hot in here. Oh, Lordy. Oh, Lordy. Speaking of Respawn, there was an image that came out it was basically a poster for the Fallen Order. And I'm like, hell yeah, man.
Did you watch the KFGD episode about it?
No.
So they were talking about it, and someone,
they're
talking about the post. Well, they were talking about the announcement that they're going to announce on Saturday. They're going to do a reveal for it, but they were talking about like Greg was asking Barry, he was like, is that a lightsaber? And like someone, you're wrong, and was like ladies, don't get too excited. That might be considered what's called a vibro staff. And basically, do you remember the Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah.
Do you remember Grievous's bodyguards that had that staff? That basically that's what it looks to be. Because if you look at it, it doesn't look like a lightsaber in the sense of like it, like there's no blade, like there's something obviously broken off. So it kind of looks like something. Trust me, I've fucking dived deep into this already. I'm so excited. If it's gonna be anything even like The Force Unleashed, but way better, I'm totally in. Because The Force Unleashed, even The Force Unleashed 2, Force Unleashed 2 was fun.
Fuck your mother.
Force Unleashed 2 game campaign was ass, but The Force Unleashed, I went and replayed the first like quarter of The Force Unleashed because I got it on PC real cheap. And I'm like, God, this game's fucking fun.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a Wii?
Wee.
Well, either way, did you know that the Wii version of The Force Unleashed is a completely different game?
Oh yeah, I think it is.
So one of the things that you can do in The Force Unleashed on the Wii is one of the collectibles you do is you collect lightsaber hilts. So you can collect like Darth Vader's, or you can collect different ones and use them, and you could actually use the Wiimote to cut shit. But in the PS3 and Xbox 360 version, the only thing you could collect was crystals to change your color of your lightsaber.
Yeah.
Anything that's post Order 66 always makes me excited lore wise, and that's one of the reasons why I really like Rogue One, is because I like that post Revenge of the Sith timeline.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Days Gone.
I'm in a slump right now.
I'm really excited because the more I think about it, the more we haven't had like a true to form open world zombie game. We've had like open worlds like Dead Island. Dead Island is a good example, but then it wasn't like really like open world in the sense that like the world itself wasn't that big. You know what I mean? Versus like this is like open world in the sense of like GTA. GTA is a giant fucking world, so much so that you need to drive around. Same thing with this. And then even Dying Light was more like dynamic than it was
open world
big. You know what I mean? Because it was more about like verticality. Yeah, definitely. It was more about like verticality or whatever. And like the more I think about it, it's like we haven't really had like a true to form open world, zombie game. One where like I don't know, it is hard because it's like Dying Light and Dead Island are technically open worlds, but it's just I don't know.
So the situation I'm in right now is like I want to play Days Gone, but at the same time I'm like, well, I already have games that I haven't played. I haven't played Red Dead 2 yet.
That's okay, you don't have to.
But it's also one of those things I was thinking about today is I really want to play Odyssey because I really enjoyed Origins. But A, I don't know if I'm going to get to it. B, like I don't know. Granted, we're not going to get another Assassin's Creed game until next year, but still, like, I don't know if I should wait and just play the Vikings one that's potentially going to come out next year because I really want to fucking play that.
Well,
or, I mean,
here's something to think about. This time last year, God of War came out. And it was
I can't believe it was a year ago.
And it was Game of the Year.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying this is going to be Game of the Year, but I mean, it's getting released right around the same time. And I mean, you think about the year before we had like, I mean, maybe it wasn't the year before. I guess it was a few years before, but a few years before was Uncharted 4.
Yeah, 2016.
Yeah, and that was May or something like that, right? So you had Uncharted, you had God of War, and so they're essentially putting this. That's true. Oh, well, that was more January. What I'm trying to get at is that this time of year specifically has brought us great games. And so the fact that they feel it's good enough to go alongside these other games that also came around the same time period, I feel like is very telling. You know, and I have heard plenty of previews about how people are like, "Oh, it's just, you know, it's just like any other open world." It's like, it's like, but you also play video games for a living.
Right now, I'm in between playing Apex Division 2, and that's mainly the two that I'm playing right now.
Yeah.
I'm playing Spyro if I need a palate cleanser, like if I get burnt out, I'll
Right.
play some Spyro. But like, I do still want to play Red Dead because it's a game that it's a world that I want to get lost in.
See, I guess that's a really good example as far as like what I mean by we haven't had a real true open world game. Like I would compare Division to Dead Island and Dying Light as far as like how quote unquote open it is.
It's
Versus,
linear open
yeah,
world.
sure. Versus Red Dead Redemption and Days Gone. You know, we haven't had a Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto style of open world, you know, or even I would even compare like or I wouldn't compare. I even wouldn't compare Dying Light or Dead Island to like Far Cry. Cuz like
No.
in Far Cry it's just it's the scope of it,
It's
and
an
then
open sandbox.
Exactly. I feel like it is an open it is an open world in the sense that it's meant to explore, but it's just it's the difference. It's night and day between, you know, I mean, I guess technically Dead Island does have cars or whatever, so that kind of puts my thing about the motorcycle to shame. But it's the difference between like Dead Island and just like Far Cry. Far Cry is this giant biome, and Dead Island's just a lot smaller. So it is an open world. It's just, I don't know. It's just not at the same time.
I view Dead Island more like a larger scale Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, but see, then I guess that's another thing about it is that this is, in a lot of ways, this is more like Left 4 Dead, because instead of Dead Island where it's like all melee, basically, you get guns towards the end, but even then, like, you do almost just as much damage with a melee weapon. So it's like, it's what's the point? You know what I mean? Same thing with Dying Light. Dying Light, you get guns, but you know, whoopty. So that's another one of my points, is that this feels more like an open world, because just like an open world with Red Dead or even Horizon and stuff like that, you know, you have more long distance type of things. And so I feel like maybe that's part of the reason it doesn't feel as open, because my perspective is a lot more like close in Dead Island and Dying Light versus third person. You know, the scope of everything is huge.
Question for you: did you cash out the anchor balance?
Well, you might. I mean, I don't want to talk about this on air.
Okay. The last thing I'll talk about is so Hop Up. This week's Hop Up is currently at 883.
Yeah.
But what's I'm very happy about is it looks like the last 4 episodes have finally gotten past 18, and they're all at 19.
Yeah.
Almost to 2000. Hop Upcast episode 2 is it's at 1995. You're
1995. You youngin'.
So if the only ones that we're lacking on is Hop Up, there's the bonus episode 3, and then Hubcast episode 5 are still at 18.
Mm-hmm.
But good tracks. We have 32,000 total plays.
Yeah, right.
And our audience is estimated about a 17K, 1,700.
No, it's 1.6K.
Wait, yeah, that's 1,700. Well, mine says estimated audience 1.7K.
Really? That's weird. Mine says 1.6. That's so weird.
But yeah, either way, that's 16 or 1,700.
Right. Which is weird, because that's not true, because we can see it literally right here. It's, you know, we got 2,000. it's 2000 all the way until HUBcast episode 3. Then it's consistent at 1800. Then it's back up to 1900. So it's like it's true, but it's also not. So
Yeah.
all right, I better get going to bed. So let's go ahead and end the post show.
All right, later, guys. Later, guys.